in, in halfway around the world, or there's people that don't have clean water, and it just looks like this massive, overwhelming statistic. And everybody's, by the way, everybody's inclination, regardless of whether you're the most, the toughest or the most outgoing or a great leader, everybody still has that first reaction, which is like, okay, what am I going to do? And how, the feeling of being overwhelmed. We are standing in the shadows of a great challenge. When you talk about HIV/AIDS, you talk about young women with the disease, you talk about inequality in a lot of those communities in Africa. You talk about just the idea of trying to shift a whole challenge that's been going on for generations. And you know what's cool about it to me is none of you guys have to be here. You could all not be here. None of you have to take your shoes off. And by the way, it's not our problem. Nobody's saying, you know what, there's kids that need help in a place halfway around the world. Nobody's going to ever be able to hold it over your head and say, you have to do this. But most of the things that I'm the most proud of are the things that I chose to do. That when you see something and you see the opportunity to do something and you pursue it with passion. The fact that you don't have to do something is one of the great opportunities to show what you're made of. When you see something happening, when you see something bad happening next to you or across the street, do you turn the other way, or do you figure out how can I be a part of changing that? Now, just for a second, when we do these walks, a lot of times I think about just being isolated from the kind of problems we're talking about. Has anyone ever woken up and wondered whether they were going to get clean water? Have you guys ever had that issue? Anybody? Has anyone ever looked at their closet and not seen a single pair of shoes? You guys are really a funny commentary.
We're best friends.
Has anybody? Well, I can tell you that being in places like Soweto, South Africa, which is the essentially a massive ghetto, a huge sprawling millions of people that are living with no clean water, with in most cases a lot of people don't have access to electricity. You have people just like you guys, young women, young guys, young families, but what you also have is this whole generation of kids that have lost their parents to disease like HIV, and they're born into a world where they didn't get the choice. And in a lot of cases, just like our polka-dotted cute girl over here, like you have millions of kids that have no families because of a disease that is treatable and potentially preventable. But the thing that inspires me more than anything is that there are people just like you guys that are also doing things they don't have to do. You have young kids that are taking care of their brothers and sisters because there are no parents. You have people working multiple jobs, whatever they can do to provide for the most basic tools to survive. You have people that have real grit and fire. And I think that my kids' generation will see a world that is different in places like sub-Saharan Africa, in South Africa, and Mozambique, and Kenya, because we figured out, and I'm saying we because you guys are a part of a very large group of people that are being creative and finding new ways to go directly to these problems and saying, you know what, I don't want to send it to a government and watch it trickle down and hope that the corrupt next guy doesn't, corrupt the next, leader of this foreign country or that and wonder what is really getting done. I want to go to that school. I want to build a school. I want to drill a clean water well. Who's drilling a well? Let's raise money, let's go drill a well. Let's go get some shoes. Let's get some medicine. Let's get down to business. And let's actually see things change. And in time, those are our partners. Those are our friends. That's when you talk about the global community. That's a global community, is reaching out and doing something that you don't have to do, but you did it anyway. And honestly, obviously being very proud to be from this country, to me, that's about as American as it could possibly be. And that should be our legacy, is to be reaching out. You have community, and sorry, I'm starting to get a little long. But I'm starting to get a little long-winded. But it sounds kind of a little too, almost like you want the conversation that would start a fight with somebody. But you see in these communities, you've got people that are handing out food, and they're also handing a rifle to a young boy. or they're putting a girl into prostitution to potentially feed, her 2 or 3 brothers and sisters. We have the opportunity to hand a rice bowl without a gun, to drill a well and not ask for anything, to build a school, and not in a ooey gooey, we are the world kind of a way, but in a real, schools have been built because of barefoot walks, just like this one. Clean water has been given. And I would ask when we finish this walk, just think about the idea of waking up tomorrow and going, I don't have a pair of shoes. I don't have clean water. I probably have a fatal disease. I may not even be able to write my own name because I've never been educated enough to change the course of my life. So we've had so much given to us that we have the opportunity to get stuff done and to change the course of the world around us in a way that is really meaningful. And by the way, the secret is it actually gives to you. It's actually pretty selfish. Because when you start doing things and you see that you can take your shoes off, you can go get something done, and then you wake up the next day, you're like, yeah, it was pretty cool. You should feel that way.
We don't think about it.
Well, but you should feel that way. You should be proud of it, you should claim it, and then you should be the next person that organizes a walk or that tells people about what you did, not in a arrogant way, but says, you may not know about this, friend, coworker, brother, sister, mom, dad. We can get stuff done that is meaningful. And if you're wondering whether your life has meaning or whether you have purpose, don't wonder. Just get on with it. Do it.
And the other thing too is, if you can do that, then think about all the things you can do
right
in
here.
Your own community.
Right.
All you got to do is start doing something.
Start walking.
Yeah.
All right, so let's walk. So this is a pretty, as streets go and walks go, this is a pretty clean, easy walk. So we're going to finish our mile. I think we're going a little further, and then we're going to spin around. Okay. So we don't have an audience, as you can see, except for the steel mill. But we have a really nice reverberant spot. So I want to hear you guys make some noise. Say, let's walk!
Let's walk!
All right, here we go.